Welcome to TWINN number 35, This Week in Nerd News. It is the end of August, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you these 5 stories in our space of technology and security and how they fit into us and our clients. This first one is about how the FBI is sharing indicators of compromises, as they're known as IoCs. And this is a nice trend that we're seeing where this is being shared early on in the discovery of new threats. Now, the cool thing here is that if you've already been living in a zero trust environment with don't talk to strangers and adaptive allow listing, then this is not a threat because every step along the way would have been blocked. And here's an example of how these anonymous file downloads wouldn't have worked to begin with. Plus, with don't talk to strangers, it cannot make a connection to the dark web. The second story here is about how a bug in Razer gaming mouse software automatically runs with system-level privileges, and this is not intended, and a bug fix should be coming out very shortly. In this next story, we are once again seeing how the NSO Group's Pegasus software has been used to target activists, journalists. And what's interesting to me is that, once again, with this zero-day iMessage vulnerability that Citizen Lab calls forced entry, at some point in time when after the infection occurs, the only way it connects through its command and control servers is with IP addresses directly without using DNS. And that is, in effect, what Don't Talk to Strangers protects from. So these types of connections never occur for devices that are protected by Don't Talk to Strangers. And here we have a story about how a man connected to hundreds of iCloud accounts to look for images of nude women. And what's interesting is that this is egg in Apple's face, because the thief did this from his home internet connection with not even any way of masking an IP address like with a VPN or anything like that, logging into hundreds of distinct iCloud accounts. This should have thrown up a red flag on Apple's side just on those 2 metrics alone. Hundreds of accounts from the same IP address. That's a residential internet connection. This should not happen. So we're hoping that Apple will secure iCloud further. Now, in many cases here, actually in all of these cases, the victims were socially engineered to giving up the password. And what I love about the YubiKey and what I would love for my iCloud account is to be able to support a physical hardware YubiKey because you can't, even if someone has the password socially engineered, they still cannot log in unless they have the hardware key. And so I'm hoping that they'll drop SMS and add hardware keys very soon as a way of doing 2-factor authentication. And this last story about a phishing campaign that uses a cross-site scripting vulnerability on the UPS.com website to distribute malware. Now, even a trained security person may not spot such malware download without careful examination, but the good news is that in a zero-trust, adaptive allow listing mode, that download again never happens. So we are just seeing stories like this every week now, where the proactive security approach is the answer. And did you know, I turned 50 this weekend, and one of our sons gave me a birthday card that I got permission to share with you today. It is the attention to detail and amount of Easter eggs in there that are most important. And my personal lesson out of this is that, wow, do our children ever observe us more than we realize. See if you can spot them or watch the video for the outline. To start out with, the 16:9 aspect ratio is amazing because it is cut so perfect. At the top right, he's heard me complaining about wanting better Wi-Fi strength and reporting systems. So he's actually gone from Apple's usual 3 bars to, 5? And obviously the 50% battery life is a nod to turning 50. But hey, if I still have 50% battery at 50, I'm cool with that. I love the terminal window with the dark gray, and you may have to squint there, but he's got some leet speak hacker going on in there. He loves hackertyper.net, by the way. And And on the dock, he's designed some really cool icons that are remarkably clear, what they're supposed to be. Oh, and the card itself is called iHappy, and I thought that was kind of funny. One of the coolest features is at the bottom right with a coffee spill. But the funniest part of it is that he had to label it so I wouldn't miss it. That tells you how often my keyboard actually gets coffee spills. And anyhow, I thought I'd share that the fact that he was wondering if he should call it the 51st birthday. When you turn 50, it's actually your 51st birthday, right? That's if you do count the day of your birth as your first birthday. But maybe we've been listening to too many tech podcasts that obsess about counting. So there we go. Thanks for watching. See you next week.